Κυρίες και κύριοι, καλησπέρα και πάλι. Τις τελευταίες 2 εβδομάδες, πολλά είναι αυτά που υπόθηκαν για την επιχείρηση των Ισραηλινών στη Λωρίδα της Γάζας. Οι νέοι φάκελοι ταξίδεψαν στο Ισραήλ και κατέγραψαν πολύ δυνατές εικόνες και μαρτυρίες, που θα δούμε μαζί την επόμενη Δευτέρα. Πάμε όμως τώρα να μιλήσουμε για την κρίση στη Μέση Ανατολη με ένα πολύ έγκυρο αρθρογράφο, τον Ρότζερ Κόεν, το New York Times. Κύριε Κόεν, καλησπέρα από την Αθήνα.
It's a pleasure, Alexis.
Μου έκανε εντύπωση στην τελευταία σας στήλη στους New York Times ο θυμός με τον οποίο γράφατε για το τι συμβαίνει στη Γάζα. Γιατί είστε τόσο θυμωμένος?
Well, I'm upset as a human being. I'm upset as a Jewish human being. I'm upset because I care deeply about Israel. I'm upset because I've spent quite a lot of time in the West Bank and in Gaza, and I care deeply about Palestinian loss of life. And when a guy with a suicide belt gets onto a bus in Jerusalem or walks into a hotel in Tel Aviv and blows himself up, he or she is deliberately targeting women, children, civilians. The operation that Israel is carrying out in Gaza is aimed at Hamas. It says at Hamas terrorists. But there comes a point with so-called collateral damage, i.e. The killing of civilians, women, children, where just using that phrase, collateral damage, is inadequate. You have to ask yourself very seriously, can the objectives justify this result? And I don't believe it does.
Βλέπετε να υπάρχει κάποιος στρατηγικός στόχος πίσω από τις ενέργειες του Ισραήλ?
The stated tactical goal, at least, is to stop the rockets coming from Gaza into Sderot and other towns in Israel near Gaza, to seal the tunnels and other means by which Hamas smuggles rockets and other military equipment into Gaza, and to establish a new ceasefire. I don't see really what the strategic aim is. Strategically, I think this can only rebound against Israel. And I simply don't understand the caretaker Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Olmert, who in a remarkable interview quite recently said Israel's been wrong. We're going to have to make peace with Syria, and that will involve giving back the Golan Heights. We're going to have to come to terms with the Palestinians, and that is going to involve handing back all, or if not quite all, almost all of the West Bank. And it's going to involve some sort of compromise over Jerusalem. And he said, I myself have made mistakes, and I believe Israeli governments have made mistakes in this regard. And then, weeks later, he unleashes this assault on Gaza. It simply makes no sense to me.
Πιστεύετε ότι υπάρχει πιθανότητα να έχουμε στο μέλλον μια πιο μετριοπαθή ηγεσία από την πλευρά των Παλαιστινίων? Ή νομίζετε ότι η Χαμάς θα έχει πλέον το πάνω χέρι?
There's not going to be any peace in the Holy Land until the two main strands of the Palestinian movement, that's to say Fatah in the West Bank and Hamas in Gaza, are somehow reunited. Right now, the West is focused on Fatah and believes that through Abbas and through Fayyad, the extremely able Prime Minister in the West Bank, that there may be some road to peace that somehow sets Hamas and all that Hamas represents and the 1.4 million people in Gaza sets them aside. You have to look at Hamas not just through the prism of terror and the war on terror. You have to look at Hamas in all its complexity. It is a terrorist group, but it's not just a terrorist group. There are wings of Hamas that have nothing to do with terrorism. And there are perhaps ways to find some sort of reconciliation, at least with 95% of Hamas or 90% of Hamas and Fatah. And I think until the West, Europe, and the United States starts thinking creatively and realistically about how to do that, I don't see that happening.
Όπως ξέρετε, ο Μπαράκ Ομπάμα έχει δεχτεί πολύ κριτική επειδή όλο αυτόν τον καιρό δεν έχει μιλήσει για την κρίση. Για ποιο λόγο το έκανε αυτό?
Look, Alexis, as you know, there is nothing more sensitive in U.S. politics than Israeli politics. The Jewish community in the United States is powerful and politically influential. The US alliance with Israel is one of its strongest alliances, and it's been very strictly adhered to, in my view, too uncritically adhered to. I think what Israel needs from the United States is not love, but tough love. And I'm hoping that we'll see more of that from Hillary Clinton and as Secretary of State and from Obama. So I think the calculation element of Obama's stand has been, this is a can of worms. Do I want to put my finger in that can right now before I have to?
Ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Thank you, Alexis.
Κυρίες και κύριοι, σε αυτό το σημείο φτάσαμε στο τέλος της απόψινής μας εκπομπής. Ραντεβού την επόμενη Δευτέρα στις 11, όπου θα ασχοληθούμε πάλι με τη Μέση Ανατολή, με την αποστολή εκεί των νέων φακέλων, με το περίφημο θέμα των γκρίζων ζωνών στο Αιγαίο, αλλά και με την ορκομοσία του Μπαράκ Ομπάμα, που αρχίζει ουσιαστικά μια καινούρια περίοδο στην αμερικάνικη πολιτική σκηνή. Από όλους εμάς εδώ στους νέους φακέλους, σας ευχόμαστε καλό βράδυ και καλή ξεκούραση.